Hello and welcome to Your Personal Medicine Basket. I am so excited to be together with you so that we can explore medicine that is compatible with us as human beings, that is natural and is going to be in service of optimizing your health and creating a level of sacred health that is our birthright, actually. So we're going to go through a process. I am Lori Morse, the founder of the Sacred Health Academy and the Creative Health Processes. And there's already handfuls of processes out and about, and this one is specifically to your personal medicine. I reference that a lot because when we're connected to our higher self, to our higher presence, it activates several things in us. It activates light. Light is healing. Light carries love. Love is the ultimate healer. And we have over 50 trillion cells in our body. And inside every single cell, there are over 50 trillion atoms. And inside every atom is an electron. And that electron is medicine. So, the way I see it is that that's a lot of medicine, and we've never been taught to tap into it. So that's what my devotion is to teaching spirit-centered women like you to actually activate that energy inside. And from that place, we can make decisions about external support options, different therapies, integrative options, and even mainstream options that are serving us at a highest level, and that we're not making choices for those external options because we're afraid or unconsciously being pushed in that direction or anything along those lines. First, we maintain our center, and then we make a request and set an intention for our highest optimal health, and then we're guided to the exact right options that will serve that up, right? So this particular creative health process is about getting clear about the smorgasbord of options that might be available to you as an individual, because my smorgasbord and your smorgasbord may not look the same. And some of the things may be very similar, but we're going to go through all kinds of options. And I'm going to ask you to put these options together in a visual form so that your subconscious mind can begin percolating on it and becoming clear, and then even offering them up to your conscious awareness whenever it is that you need something specific, depending on what's going on in your mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual world, and you might need support, right? So let me click over. I'm going to share my screen and get our little presentation active here for us. So just give me 1 second to do that. Oh, I don't need to see that. And then I'm going to go over here and get us into the whole. This usually takes me just a moment because, let's see here. Oh, is that the presentation mode? No, I guess it's over here. I'm covering it. Thank you for being patient. Here we go. Okay, and then I just have to make one quick little adjustment on these. Oops. No, that's not right yet. There we go. Oh, here we go. I can't do this. I would do this before, so you don't have to hang out with me while I do all this, but for some reason oh, that's weird. Oh, here's the more. They've changed this since I've last done it. Okay, well, I guess that is not. Oh, I see. That's down there. Okay, anyway, well, here we are. So let's just kind of dive in here. And I want to talk about, why we're doing this, why we're creating your personal medicine basket. And I sort of touched on it a minute ago, but the one of the main reasons is that mainstream medicine sort of is the current cultural current, right? Like that's the flow that we're all mostly, and not everybody. And of course, there's lots of people who enjoy integrative options too. But beyond mainstream and the integrative options that we sort of all know exist, there's a much broader scope of medicine available to us. So I want to broaden our concept of what medicine is in this journey together, right? And it'll also just sort of get the ball rolling, start a momentum so that you'll start discovering over time, oh, this is actually a medicine for me. And when we say medicine, we think of a pharmaceutical drug that we need to get a prescription written for us, get it fulfilled at the pharmacy, and then start taking it with maybe side effects, right? But medicine is so much broader than that. It's anything that brings the body back to a healthy, whole state, right? Not all medications, pharmaceutical, make us whole. They can make symptoms change and take us out of some pain temporarily, but usually pharmaceutical medications aren't root cause. They don't reach into the root cause. And so if we put together recipes with ingredients of medicine that's personal to you, how do you think that might optimize your health? I can tell you personally, and with the hundreds of women that I have worked with over on the Sacred Health journey, is that it works really well. It works really well to be keenly aware of what feels like it's bringing your system into a good feeling state, into a feeling of health, into a feeling of center, into a feeling of peace and clarity and that kind of thing. And energy, right? Just having energy. So I'm not one of those people who thinks it's either or. I'm definitely more of a both and kind of a person. So of course there is going to be times when we need modern medicine to see us through something, and there's going to be other times where we use something like acupuncture or biofeedback or cognitive behavioral therapy, or any other of the number of options. And then there's going to be times where the medicine that's going to come onto your list and into your basket is really the best choice. And none of it becomes available to us at the conscious level as to what the best choice is unless we're connected into our higher self, into our higher presence. And if you haven't done the anatomy of your higher self creative health process, I'll give you the link at the end of our time here together. Please go do it. It's complimentary, and it just sort of activates all of your anatomy. Only 4% of us is physical. That means that a little bit more than 96% of us is non-physical, and we place so much emphasis on this physical. And I'm not saying that's bad or good. I'm just saying we have to do the both and thing here. We need to broaden our concept of what our anatomy is, who we are as human beings, which includes a whole lot of energy that we don't actually see, that can be developed, the seeing of this part of our energy. But at this point, unless you don't, if you don't see it, then we're sort of, we need to be discovering and developing the understanding about this part of ourselves, right? So anyway, so when we're in that connection, we get guided, we get wisdom, we cross paths with the right thing. We know there's like an inner knowing about what is the right personal medicine for us in the next step. So, and this is really important because we're at a time in collective human experience where a lot of things are getting shaken up. There's, our foothold is different than it was before, and structures are changing and shifting, and we really need our whole being. We need our mental capacities clear and focused. We need our emotional system to be, healthy and not bogged down with old emotional energy. And there's plenty of ways of releasing past emotional energy. We need our physical body, the instrument for the life force to flow through us and be in a whole state and affect life around us, and make decisions for the good of all kind of thing, right? And then we need our spiritual connection. We need all of those aspects of ourselves to be in the best alignment, the most harmonious and, um, alignment, I guess is the best word, as possible. So that's why a personal medicine basket is valuable, because, what aligns you is not going to be the same as what aligns me. And what aligns you today may not be the same thing that aligns you next week, right? So things are in a dynamic flow state, and we need to remember that, right? Our lower human mind likes it when things are sort of fixed and easy to manage. And so things being fixed are easier to manage than things being in a dynamic flow. But we teach our mind how safe these things are over time. We definitely do that in the Sacred Health Academy because that's a thing. We all know our mind is a thing. So, the one of the core, I think one of the prime directives of every human being at this point in time is to practice engaging our higher presence, our source of life. Get that part of us in on the game, right? Like asking things like, what's my best support here? What do I need to heal? And sometimes it's as simple as releasing the resistance and allowing for the love and the light that we already are to sort of fill that space. And then we can actually relax into that energy and the thing goes away. I've had that happen so many times with smaller things like headaches and upset stomach, or one time I stepped on a bee, or little things that kind of are passing through or more acute. If we have chronic things, then usually that's tied to past stuff that needs tending, usually with some acceptance and some forgiveness and some releasing. And then that makes the space for more of our light, more of who we really are, to sort of inhabit these bodies that are our vessels, right? Our vessels of expression in this particular lifetime. So I already said it. We're going to be creating a recipe that unleashes energy and healing, right? Because when the ingredients in your recipe are right for you, then that automatically activates and releases energy in your system. And when we have the more, I don't mean the more energy, but the more the cleaner our energy, let's just say it that way, just like a car's gas, the cleaner the gas, the better the engine runs. Same with our physical system, and not just our physical system, but the cleaner our energy is, the more aligned we can be, the more harmonious between all of our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual selves we can be. Those aren't separate. I don't mean to talk about them like they're separate. They're not. But just for the sake of having the conversation, I'm parsing them out like that. So what your ideal objective, if you will, in this process is to look for your core recipe with a few other ingredients that are flexible enough to bring in when those are being called for, and then to just set aside when they're not, and to add new things when you discover them, and to just have various ingredients. But most of us have some core ingredients in our recipe that are vital. I know for me, mine are good sleep. I do everything I can to ensure, an excellent night of long and deep sleep, and then movement every morning, meditation, prayer, and connection every morning. I have, you know, depending on the day, anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes that I've now kind of gotten into the mode of carving out for myself. Because without that, and on days when I'm busy or have to rush, I don't really rush anymore. That's kind of like off my list. But when I have to move quicker, let's say, to get to something earlier in the morning than I usually would, then I shorten that time. But I never, ever eliminate it, because I have learned over the years that if I bypass that, if I don't do that meditation, prayer, connection time, I'm just really off for the whole day. I really feel out of sorts and, off track. And I don't like that feeling. So I just, it's like brushing your teeth. If you brush your teeth every day and then you just decide not to brush your teeth one day, you're just not going to love your mouth all day. And you're just going to be wishing that you could find a toothbrush any minute. So anyway, I might be projecting that onto you. That's how I would feel. So yeah, and then a couple of other of my core ingredients are healthy food. At this point in my life, if I don't eat supportive, real live food, then I definitely feel heavy and not very good. So, and then I've taken on other little ingredients too throughout my recipe that maybe we can talk about as we go forward. But let's move ourselves along here. So you're going to have in this, I just want to point this out to you. This is something that you'll be able to download and use as a template, as like a tracing template, and you'll understand why and for what that's for in a moment. And then this is just also, all I did on this is piece of watercolor paper taped to a very thin wood panel. It's like press board, and it's like a 11 by 14, I think. And then the paper, the watercolor paper, I think is 9 by 12. And I just Googled line drawings of baskets, and this is the one I found that I liked the most. And I literally just drew it out by hand. You can probably still see the pencil marks underneath. And then I, just outlined it with a black, like Sharpie. So that this is and so you can do the same thing, is my point. Find a medicine basket that is appealing to you. I think I have for you, in fact, I better make sure I write this down. I have for you a sheet that has 4 different ones that you can use as visuals to draw from. And if you're saying to yourself things like, oh, I can't draw and all that, honestly, these are just a few circles, a few shapes. Just do your best on that. If this is the way you're going to go, there are a few options here. So I don't want you to feel like this is, that you have to do this. This is just one of a few options. Okay, let's move on. So you're going to get a, oh, I see how that goes. You're going to get a PDF, and it's going to be a list of, I'm going to have to, well, that's okay. It's going to be a list of things that are examples of what you could put on your list. So this is my personal list, and I'm adding to it every day. And for some reason, this screen isn't letting me go to the top of the list. And so then I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll go to, let me oh, I feel like if I stop sharing, well, let's come back to this, because I want to screen share with you the real list. And for some reason, this slide isn't working, but this just gives you an idea. Like, for example, let's just take this one, taking a sacred pause, stopping for one moment, any number of times throughout the day, to just take a breath and acknowledge that that breath is a receiving of life force. And we often think of the breath as just oxygen, right? Just O2, and that's what kind of keeps our heart beating. And that's not incorrect, but there's so much more to a breath, that if you were to just literally 100% of your focus, attention, and awareness be with the breath, and you do that more than once, it would teach you how much more it is, right? Like, there's life force, there's cosmic life force, energy, cosmic energy that comes in on a breath. And you could set intention that the breath you take in be pure source oxygen, which renders everything but that purity, that 100% purity from the source of all life, inconsequential, including virus and bacteria and allergens and dust particles and toxins in the air. I mean, you could literally qualify your breath to be pure source oxygen, and it would be. And I recommend doing that. So this is just one of many things. If you just take a short pause and do that, or if you just take a short pause and drop into your heart, so that you can access an aspect of your system that's more than just this mind that wants to churn and go so fast and control everything and limit our options all day, every day, right? You could use essential oils. You could put high frequency music on in the background. I've taken to doing that. There's a YouTube channel. I think the guy's name is Jason Stevenson, and he has all kinds of high frequency music options available, and he'll say what they're for specifically, like whether it's cleansing and purifying, or for better sleep, or for creating miracles in your life. Like, and it's just instrumental, and it's considered to be high frequency music, and it's just delicious. When you surround your system and the atmosphere that you're sitting in with that kind of a sound wave, it is healing. There is healing medicine in music, right? And so that's just one thing that you may or may not know. I mean, maybe you're a music lover and you already know that, you love to listen to music, but did you know that certain songs were actually medicine for you, right? And so there's just a huge list here. And the rose, the reason I have that on there is because our heart, our sacred heart, is thought to be like the spiral of a rose, like that Fibonacci spiral that is replete in all of nature and has sacred geometry to it. The rose of our heart, as our heart is opening and becoming more aware and receiving, being capable of receiving more love from the from the cosmic forces, not from like necessarily a lover. No offense to our lovers, but when I talk about love here, I'm talking about like the divine love, right? We've shortchanged ourselves in our human experience by thinking that the ultimate love is finding like our soulmate, like the one person that's going to make us feel this love that we so yearn for. But really, that's just a doorway into these higher dimensions of love that are more sacred and more divine than sharing love with another human. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Trust me, there is not. And it's not the end all be all, is what I'm, trying to say. So anyway, let's come back to that list, shall we? And let's move on here. So do you remember that template that I showed you before, right? It's just that one right here. This is the blank template. So all I did is I taped it onto one of these wood panels. I just get these at the art store. I think they're just called panels, and they're cheap. I can get a package of 6 for not very much. And I like to tape my watercolors papers to that. This is just an art tape. And then all I did literally, so I used my pattern, traced this onto the watercolor paper. I used tracing paper for that. And then I sprayed with a spray bottle this particular page. And then I just dropped ink and paint on it and moved it around a little bit and let it dry. And this is what came out. And I'm showing you these early stages because if you're going to do it this way, it's good to know how it can go. And then and then you'll see how it comes out in a little bit. We're going to move to that part here. And then all I did here is I just took another piece and I just put stuff on there that I wanted, like I just collaged these kind of fun flowers down and made lines and shapes and stuff that I thought was interesting. I don't like this just by itself, but I love how it came out. And then I painted the basket. So I painted the rim and the handle gold. And then this is just like I can't remember what this is, maybe a burnt sienna. Yeah. And so, and you'll see what the options are with this basket. Okay, so let's move on here. We're going to do a couple of videos here and I'm going to pause them when I need to explain to you. So you remember that page that I told you that I didn't really like, that I just put a bunch of stuff on? I cut that page up. So I just made, and I think I got like 18 of these little cards, and they're harder in terms of their their strength because it's watercolor paper, right? It's not like printer paper. So and then on the back I wrote the things on my list, right? So what I'm going to recommend you do is you make a list. You can do it on a Word doc. Maybe you want to write it in your journal, and maybe you want to write it, like you could also just get this medicine basket and then just start writing things on here. Like that's one of the things you can do. Maybe you want to do all of those things. But the point is I just started plucking things off of my list and putting them on these cards. And then you'll see what we're doing with that in a minute. So I'm going to sort of talk through this because there's no sound on here. So there was that sacred pause. You already saw the essential oils. I just used, chanting, all of this sound medicine. Let me just pause this for a minute. I had mentioned that you can go on YouTube and get high frequency music, but you can also chant and change your vibration, change like the frequency at which your cells are operating at by a simple chant. And one of my favorite ones, I mean, you can get really elaborate on the ways and the kinds of chants that you do. But one of the most simple ones to me is HUM, hum. You can feel that. I can feel that vibrating my heart actually. And that particular sound is thought to bring our higher self and our etheric body, that kind of encapsulation of non-physical etheric light force that surrounds our physical body. It brings that part of us and our body into congruency, into harmony. And that's a good thing. I mean, so I'm saying just more on this idea of sound, because sound is a medicine in whatever form makes your system like feel good, right? Good is different ways of good. It could feel serene, it could feel inspired, it could feel, a little bit activated and energetic. There's different ways, but you be the judge. But there's a spectrum, and sound. The point is, sound is very magical. So now you've probably seen, I'm just gathering these up, obviously, you've probably seen those plates or bowls where you can put little cards. I think they've had angel cards and just little daily grab a card, just for like letting chance be your guide on what would be a good next medicine for you. And in this case, we got be here now, just being present, right? Like that's a medicine too. So this is, before we go on to this is the point. Sorry, we have gardeners that are doing some, I don't know what they're doing, weed whacking or something. So hopefully you don't hear that too loudly. But this is what I mean by broadening our concept of medicine, like just taking that a moment to be present with whatever it is you're doing, whether you're holding a glass and you're feeling the sensation of water, or whether you're feeling your feet on the floor, or whatever your eyes are landing upon. All of that is a presence, and that is medicine. Practicing that throughout the day is medicine. So these are those cards. So step one, trace the size of these on the watercolor paper. Step two, spray it with water and then drop colors that you like on there. Just let it make its own shapes, right? Step three, cut them out. And then on the back, I put very specific messages to myself that I know that I love and that make me sort of connect higher and come into alignment with myself. Now, I want you to notice I put on two of the cards, I put I have this like gold marker, and I just sort of edged these, and then on two of them I didn't. I ended up liking them not edged, but I just was, oh shoot, we went all the way back to the beginning. But I just wanted to show you that, right? Like, we're going to see that again. Let's see. Yeah, like, okay, well, we're almost there. So yeah, I like the cleanness of not edged, but anyway, that's what I'm showing you there, and we're almost done here. So you can make as many of these as you want. I'm just showing you four, right? So those would be like those angel card decks, or those tarot card decks where you get a whole bunch of them in one box. Well, these are just just to give you the idea, these are just four. You don't have to even create them all at once. You could create four at a time based on what you're discovering, or how much time you have, or what your mood is, and just add to the deck over time. It's really fun to kind of have a project like that. I think, anyway, it gives you something simple and creative to play with. So anyway, let's move on to the next video. And this is okay. So this is the medicine basket. So I just want to sort of preload this before I start playing it, is that I just went to a bunch of magazines. I actually have a drawer where I have other, like just stuff that I've been saving, of things that I've cut out. And the idea here is to create imagery for yourself so that your subconscious can start taking in the medicine that is image, and then making that available to you by way of brain tracks and mind medicine. We have a whole vault in the Sacred Health Academy called the Mind Medicine Vault, and we literally rewire our brain on all kinds of different health subjects, healing, sacred healing subjects. And this is just one of the ways the mind works, by seeing imagery. It's why creativity is really healthy and health promoting, because the imagery that we create through us for our subconscious is very, very healing. So and you can cut out little messages to yourself. I got for a smile specifically. Who doesn't love a baby? I mean, just looking at that visual is so yummy to me. I happen to love, nature is on my list So this is a beautiful depiction of nature. So is gardening. This is just, one could get like a simple little, um, planter that they could put on their outside balcony and just tend a little bit of flowers, like just let yourself have the enjoyment of tending something. These are some herbs like rosemary and thyme and sage that you could just let yourself, you know, have in your cooking, that you just toss a little water to every couple of days, but you're watching life grow, you're tending life, right? So we started out with that medicine basket. Also, you know what? I want to go back. Okay, obviously I have a lot to say about this stuff. Wait, come back. Where's that one? Okay. It is, oh, it is actually medicine. No, okay, so let's stop. Okay, this is just a, it's blurry. Let me see if I can, yeah. This is just a, something I cut out of a magazine. It's obviously inside of a, a grocery store. But I don't know if you've ever noticed this. Walking into the fresh food section of a good grocery store, a high quality grocery store, is medicine, right? Like, look at all the colors, feel all the life force in this little area, right? Like, if you were standing right here where this sign is, this would be medicine for you. So maybe that's something you've considered, and maybe it's not. I personally love to have fresh food in bowls sitting on my little counters or chopping block or whatever in my kitchen, so that every time I walk through my kitchen, I am seeing real, fresh, colorful, live food. And I can tell you, it certainly makes me want to eat it more than if I had packages of Oreos and whatnot, donut boxes or whatever sitting on my counter, which I would never put anything I don't want to eat in my visual sight, because our visions, our visuals are so impactful to us. So I only put things in the sight of my eye's sight line, that are healthy for me, because I know how powerful and potent are those images are, right? So anyway, yeah. So maybe you were aware that the produce section of good markets are also medicine, or maybe you weren't. Now you know. Oh, I guess it's gonna have us do that again. Oh, the idea there was to, maybe going and seeing art is medicine for you. Like, just sitting in a room of a museum or an art gallery and just absorbing the creativity, the colors, the messages, the intentions, and the medicine that is art. Of course, if it's art you like, then it's going to be medicine. If you don't care for it, then it isn't your medicine. Okay, so here's a fun thing. This is, I got this out of an AARP magazine. So this is a woman who isn't in her young years, learning to play the guitar, or maybe she's just honing her guitar skills. I'm making it up that she's learning. But the point is that she's giving herself the medicine of creativity. And here's something that I cut out because I wanted to read this to you. So this was in this same little section of, this woman, and it says, "Feed your creativity. Write that book. Take those dance lessons. Go back to school. Travel. Living is about keeping that spark inside of you lit." Dr. Cohen, a founding father of geriatric psychiatry, found that creativity is not limited to young people. This is the point. At any age, it can open people up to new possibilities and add richness to life. He states, according to Dr. Cohen, creativity can benefit aging by strengthening morale, improving physical health, enriching relationships, and establishing a legacy. So even if only one or two of those things are important to you, the point is to foster it, to give yourself that medicine of anything that you feel attracted to, that is, that gives you creative out and gives you creative inspiration. And here's the key: it doesn't matter how good you are. That's not the bar. The bar is engaging in it. The bar is just letting yourself have the experience. The bar is maybe getting better over time, but who cares how good you are? The bar is never comparing yourself to another person. The bar is only, how do I feel strumming this string? How do I feel when I'm writing this line? How do I feel when I'm chopping this vegetable for this artful dish I'm making? How do I feel when I'm drawing this, this basket? That's the bar, right? So open up your concept, broaden your concept of creativity as medicine. It's a huge element of medicine. I'm a fan. My whole section of the sacred journey is devoted to that if one wants it to be. But there's so many ways to be creative, right? Planting those flowers is an act of creation. Anything that oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Anything that nourishes life is creativity. Did you know that? Anything that nourishes life is creativity. So changing a baby's diaper while singing to the baby is an act of being, right? So when we're nourishing life, that's automatically creative. And when we're not, then we don't we our creativity feels a little bit more shut down. And so the idea is to ask and be in this delicious inquiry with your heart about what are your ways of being creative, what will make your heart flutter and feel like inspiration to your soul. Those are the questions, and if you don't know, it's okay. It's never too late, right? Like, I know 80-year-olds who took up photography. I know another 88-year-old man who started painting in his 80s. So there's just, it's just never ever too late. So that's the key I wanted to make there. So the reason I'm showing you these things is because these are all options that you can. Now, these are a little bit. Oh, there's that thing I just read to you, a little bit big, but I didn't have, like, I didn't take the time to find smaller graphics. But the point is you could put all kinds of images. That's Diane Keaton, in case you're wondering. I just thought her smile was so wonderful. I wanted to have that. Having a smile is medicine, right? Smiling at your neighbor is medicine. Smiling at yourself in the mirror is medicine, right? So here's our gardening choices. This is just a nice a tall garden bed that you don't have to bend over. And there's that darling baby. What I realized in the pandemic is that I used to have more connection with babies, and because of the pandemic, I haven't. And it was when I kind of saw and cut this picture out that I realized, oh, I need some baby energy. I need to be with a baby. That would be medicine for me right now, right? So, just in the spirit of what all can be medicine, right? So that completes our. So you can tell, or you can see what I mean by that. There were different options. So you have the small cards that you could cut out. And just kind of scoot back here. You have these small cards that you could cut out of a larger um, a larger piece. And honestly, this could be anything. This could be like the back has to be blank so you can write on it, but it could be anything. You could get some kind of a flyer in the mail that you think is gorgeous, and maybe you paint the back of it white and you cut it up, and those are your cards, right? Be creative on this, right? Key being creative. And then you can do these other cards too. So that's one way. And then you can do the actual medicine basket. So all of these options are. You could also do just a whole one page. Let me stop this. One page vision board. But those are so common. We've all probably done at least one of those in our lifetime. So uh, I wanted to give you some other ideas besides that. Now, you may or may not have done any other of these creative health processes. You can go check them all out at this link right here if you want to check out all the options. There's the one I already mentioned, the anatomy of your higher self. There's making your body sacred and healing your digestive energy center, and all kinds of little variations. But all of them have the same thing in common. They all have the same overarching medicine that weaves through each creative health process, which is setting an intention before you get started. So let's say you're going to sit down to trace those cards, those four larger cards on the page, and then you're going to drop some paint colors or ink on them, make that cool look that came out. You want to set an intention, and your intention will be aligned in some way with the fact that you're bringing a whole new level of consciousness to what is medicine for you. So maybe your intention would be something like, I I want to call forth all the personal medicine that is mine to claim, that serves me in cultivating optimal health and creating a high level of sacred health for myself. Like, that's an incredible intention, right? I love to write that down. You'll see in all these other creative processes here that I usually write those down. But in this particular process, what I wrote down was the list, which I'm going to share with you here in just a minute. The list of all the options that you would have. Then you engage in the creative play, and with this intention in mind, you're just letting yourself have fun with color and lines and cutting things out of magazines or wherever else you might be cutting them out from. Just loving the images, letting your heart uh, sort of flutter a little bit when you see something you love. That's what happens to me when I cut images out, like that waterfall and those garden things. I mean, my heart just goes, "Oh, I love that." And so then that's what I'll pull out because that speaks to me. And then when you're done, like when, let's just say well, in this case, it's going to be a little bit different because your insights are, well, your inquiry is, what else? What other medicine is mine to claim that I don't know about yet? That's where you keep adding to your list. And then your insights is maybe letting the sort of the like those little tiny cards, like just picking one at random. So you let like the the unified fields sort of help you along with some insight there. And then you pick a card and you go, oh yeah, that's perfect. I love that. I'll do that right now, as a matter of fact. Or if I can't do it right now, I'll do it on my lunch hour, or whatever the best timing is for you. And the point is that when you have a lot of, small, medium, and larger aspects of medicine for yourself, and you string those together throughout the day, you're constantly nourishing yourself. You're constantly giving yourself exactly what your system needs to stay in a good state, right? And so that's why, we're doing this particular process, because learning that doing something every hour that's small and takes no time at all keeps you in a really healthy state, keeps your chemistry healthy, not in a stress response, but in the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system, where healing is constantly happening and repair is happening. And even what you do at noon determines how well you'll sleep at night. So if you're doing something at noon that is settling your system into the parasympathetic branch of your nervous system, the calming, healing branch, then you're going to be giving yourself a better night's sleep that night, even though it seems like it's real far off and not connected. It is actually. And then you want to just be in this inquiry, like, well, how can I integrate all this medicine into my life on a rate? Don't overwhelm yourself. Just make it an adventure, make it an exploration and a fun discovery for yourself on how this could work in your life. And honestly, once you do it several days in a row, and you do it more days, you add to the equation, so to speak, it just becomes who you are. It's not something you do, it's who you are now, right? Like, oh, I'm just someone who takes a moment to be present to everything. Or, oh, I'm just someone who takes a sacred pause. Oh, I'm just someone who breathes in the cosmic life force and fills every particle of my being, like a Tesla gets fueled by electrical charge, right? Like, that's sometimes how I think about myself, getting fed with energy. And so those are all and if there is there's a sort of a part of I'll show you this in just a second. So, and then what to do next, you want to just keep adding to your list, revisiting for more insights. That's the adding to your list thing. And make sure you do these things, right? Like sometimes when we say we're going to do something and we don't, and we do that over and over, it kind of chips away at the trust we have in ourselves, right? But when we do them, when we say, you know what, I'm just going to do this, even though I might feel weird about doing it because it's new and unfamiliar and I feel kind of strange, just do it anyway. And then you realize, oh, wow, there was something to that. And then you start highlighting things on your list that really have juice for you, and maybe you drop off a couple of things, but this creates trust in yourself. This creates a trust in your connection with your higher self and in yourself to follow through on things that are meaningful and you know person that are a personal medicine for you. And then just watch what transforms, and don't look for like big old bangs to come out of the sky. You're looking for these ongoing subtle um, things that you notice of transformation and healing that are like adding up over time, right? So let me change the I think I'm going to have to stop sharing and then pull this thing up again, so let me do that. There it is. Okay, so let me screen share again, and then you're going to get to see my ever so full desktop. Okay, so this is the page I was hoping for us to see in the, let's see, there we go. Okay, so this is, oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say. How important, this is the trust yourself piece that we were just talking about, how important daily habits are. Like daily habits are a medicine just like all these other things. When we, create habits in the direction of wholeness, that is so potent. That is a potent medicine that is really hard to beat, right? Like the only reason we end up in a doctor's office with a problem looking for a band-aid is because we've let something go for too long, and now it's culminated into this pain or this disease or whatever the thing is, right? So the key is in this personal medicine idea is to do small things day in and day out, so we don't have to go down the rabbit hole and end up in a doctor's office needing something a little stronger, right? So and I like this idea of considering this regular daily habit of medicine is as important, maybe even more important as medical insurance, right? Like how much money you will save if you are nipping things in the bud along the way rather than having with your own personal medicine and with nature, right? With being in alignment. When I talk about being in alignment, like the anatomy of our whole self, and we're connected to our higher self physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, we are automatically in connection with nature, right? And nature herself is medicine, right? So okay, so here's just all this list of things. I just wanted to give you an idea of how juicy it could be, and this isn't everything actually in my on my list. I was adding several things to this even after I started our time together. So, and this one, this is a new one I added before jumping on with you, but it's literally just taking a break, unplugging from technology. Take little short breaks, take longer breaks if you can. Maybe take a half a day off where you don't open anything tech until noon. And if that flips you out, then start smaller. Maybe I do not open anything tech when I first wake up in the morning. I don't look at anything text, my computer or phone or anything like that until I've done my morning routine of, that meditation practice I told you about, and my exercising. I don't know why that word wouldn't come. And then, doing my showering. And then I come in and I open tech because I want that time to be sacred and clean and and not like starting a frenetic energy inside of my system. And that just gives me a much better foundation to have my day, right? And like I said, we're adding to this list all the time, and you'll get a copy of this, so feel free to lift any of these off of my list for your own list, and then of course add your own. Equal airtime, by the way, is a good one, because it is the idea that every time our mind connects into a fear-based thought, there is equal and greater, there is an equal and greater love-based thought. So the idea is to kind of collapse these realities, right? Like we live often in this fear spin a lot, and we forget to give equal airtime to a greater truth, which is a more love-based truth, which is a completely different experience for us. So like oftentimes over the years, I've worked with a lot of women for fertility, and she'll just be in this sort of mindset that she's doomed and she'll never have a baby. And that's how, I'm not saying I never take away a person's experience, but it isn't the whole picture. And so equal airtime in this case is, well, she's already had a baby, so of course her body knows how to do it, or at the very least she's had a miscarriage. Or if even that's not the case, how many women there are on the planet who took X number of months or even years to get pregnant. Like that's just nature's timing. We don't get to control that. And so equal airtime at least neutralizes the chemistry that gets released when we have a fear-based response to something. And we terrorize ourselves all the time with fear-based stuff, right? We don't even have to look at the news. I mean, that doesn't help, but we do it all the time to ourselves. And so equal airtime is catching ourselves and saying, okay, there's that thing I do again. So what else is true about this? And what would love have to say about this? And what would my higher self have to say about this? And then giving equal airtime to that truth as well. The other thing I didn't mention is beauty. Beauty is one of the most magical medicines to me. And I would invite you to notice that for yourself. Like whatever feels beautiful to you, have a lot of it around you, or give yourself the gift of being around beauty that feels like beauty to you, and notice how it makes you feel. It's a medicine, and it's an excellent medicine. So anyway, that was the thing I was going to show you. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to show you, and this will be the last thing, and then I will stop. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that because, or I can do it if I do it this way. Oh, you know what I have to do? I can't do that. Okay, so let me just tell you about this. When you get a creative health process, well, you have this one. So there was a section in the when you went into the internal portal to get all these videos and all the PDFs to download and all that stuff. There's a section that has divine color qualities, so you can download that. They're true to all the creative health processes, so I don't have them in every one. I just have them as a single section available to each process. And the other one is it explains creative health processes. It explains what all this is about, and it helps you know why this medicine is valuable, and why creating is medicinal, really. So and that all is explained, and there's all kinds of like, you know, well, it's just all written down for you, so you can read about it, download it, or print it if you want, and just have it available to you. But the page on the divine qualities, if you want to choose specific colors that will cultivate, like let's say you want to cultivate the ability to forgive. So violet is the color for that. So you would want to, reach for violet in your making, or in your basket imagery, or that kind of thing. Maybe you paint the background violet, maybe you paint your basket violet, whatever. You're reaching for, it's a vibration thing, right? Like all of life is energy, and some energy is denser than others. But when we're cultivating these finer qualities of ourselves, that's sort of like the more non-physical aspects of our anatomy, then we just have to get a little more quiet and a little more still, so we can feel the energy of it, like feel the energy of colors, so that it becomes medicine for you. So that is our medicine, your personal medicine basket creative process. Thank you for taking this journey with me. And please post, in the Creating Sacred Health page, like what's happening for you. What are you discovering? What is coming true for you? What is what is coming forward as personal medicine that maybe is a little bit of a surprise, or maybe a medicine that you've been using, like let's say nutrition, but it's getting more elevated, like you're upping your game with that particular medicine and how that is making you feel. So share with us and have a fun time. And I look forward to seeing you soon.